Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am in pain. Also, I am Lily.
And welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering The Giver. Um, if you'd like to avoid spoilers for said movie, there will be a link in the description below to the Just Watch page for this movie, which itself will have links to every platform you can rent, purchase, or stream this movie. Okay, where the fuck did we watch this? Was it Netflix?
It was Netflix.
Okay, yeah, so for us here in the US, it's available for streaming on Netflix. Also, in the description, you'll find a link to our Patreon where you can vote on future episodes of the show, as well as get access to episodes before they release, as well as early access to episodes of our sister show, Off the Shelf, which is about books. I'm personally not going to cover The Giver, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't appear on Off the Shelf, but that's a whole nother thing.
I mean, that's just not set in stone right now, but it could.
Yeah,
But not now.
it could happen, but it won't right now. But with that being said, you can join us next week for our free film day for September. We don't yet know what movie that's going to be because it's still the middle of August when we're recording. As well as Ant-Man and the Wasp, the first one, not Quantum Mania. Although I guess technically it's the second one because the first movie was just called Ant-Man. Whatever. Also in the description, you'll find a link to Anchor.fm, which is now Spotify for podcasters. And on that page, you'll find links to every platform this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter, where you can be notified when we release new episodes. With that being said, please get out if you'd like to avoid spoilers. We're going to start discussing this movie now.
But if you want to avoid spoilers, please just pick up the book from your local library.
You know,
Do
if it
me a
has
favor.
it.
Do me a solid.
Yeah, okay, so I did not like the style this movie was done in. I understand that like it's purposeful to have a decent chunk of the movie in black and white, like it's important to the story and all that. Just didn't care for that decision. Just
You know what's
flat out.
funny about the book? They
What?
do not tell you that, the world's in black and white. They don't tell you anything is unusual, but they like Jonas was when Jonas was experiencing color, um, you wouldn't know what it is either. You think everything is just normal, but it's not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird stylistic choice to me. I get why they had that sizable chunk of the movie being in black and white. I just didn't care for it. Um, what I also didn't care for was how basically all the characters, with the exception of Jonas and the Giver, felt like they were all the same person. And again, I get that's the point of the story, but it's like I understand that this is an aspect that's in the books too, and it's why I won't be reading them.
Okay, I will give one thing about that. Yeah, they were around like the same person. However, the reason why it's better in the book is because they didn't put a fucking highlight on these characters. Like the background characters appear way more in the movie than the book.
Still, there's just a lot here. If like, okay, I should address the notes I've written down. The characters being the same, basically, is what led me to my first point, uh, where I dislike the flow of the dialogue in this movie, particularly between the background characters. Um, it it made the conversations feel extremely weird, and the whole precision of language bullshit just annoyed me. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah, they also explain a lot more about what the precision of language actually fucking meant in the book. Because they just glossed right over it. Just glossed.
It was genuinely annoying. Like, okay, you know how there are people where I even do it sometimes, but when I do it, I'm intentionally being annoying. But there are people who will correct people on how they spell your.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like that. And I know it's not that, but that's what it feels like. It's like, oh, you're using the wrong word.
Yeah, in the book it was more like precision of language is to um unnecessary amount of rudeness. Which that's what I mean, half the rules are just about don't be rude to people.
Meanwhile, they're being rude with this whole precision of language nonsense in the first place. So,
Yeah, let me remember. So children are being taught like very early age. I believe they even got like smacks on the hand sometimes if they kept using the words improperly. Rules of the place, am I right?
yeah, nothing like hitting children.
Though, I mean, the dystopian aspects don't just end there, though.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
another
that's what this is, dystopian future.
Yeah, another note I had was like the four like them making a big deal about Jonas having four unique attributes. Um and like how it was so rare and that's what qualified him to be the receiver. And I literally wrote down all four attributes and then an arrow and then I wrote divergent because like okay at the time Lily and I discussed this further after we had both seen the movie, but at the time my brain was like how is how are these qualities that rare? Like what they were describing is just being a good person, and I refuse to believe that that is like that rare. And it was the same case for the Divergent series. It's what turned me off from finishing those books. Was that I refuse to believe that the five qualities that they described in Divergent like weren't but I refuse to believe that someone could be only one of those qualities and somehow being all five was out of the normal.
Also, just another thing I want to point out. Well, they copied, the traits directly from the book. I just do not think the Jonas from the movie meets any of those. He's an asshole. Like, just straight up, like, Ash, you're not gonna break the rules with us? How lame.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
Which Asher would absolutely, in the book, Asher would just totally been the one to, like, oh yeah, rule breaking? Fuck yeah. But that's besides the point.
And then my other note is that the story feels rushed. And what I mean by that is like it's an issue with pacing where they don't really make it seem like that much time has passed. It's like you feel like only a couple of days have passed, and then they tell you it's been 6 months. And I'm like, what?
Well, first of all, like, they just skipped a good few chapters in the beginning of the movie. I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah, and I feel like the receiver met with the giver like three or four times, and then
Never
suddenly we're
happened.
getting. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Wait, no, wrong point.
Okay. So the receiver meets with the giver like 3 or 4 times, and like there's the receiving of all these memories, and then bam, we get the reveal that this society is killing babies, and I'm like, okay, that came out of nowhere. Oh, we're doing this now. We're gonna do this thing to give everyone back their memories or something. Oh, and we're taking a
Oh, wait,
baby
I
with us.
completely forgot they didn't actually mention that. Wait, yeah, in the book, that wasn't out of the nowhere doing the thing that gives everyone back their memories. That
Okay,
is what
no,
actually happened with Rosemary.
they do reveal like earlier that it's possible that crossing the boundary of memory would bring back everyone's memories. But
Or if the receiver dies.
I actually didn't hear that part.
Yeah, that's what happens with Rosemary when she filed for release. And now you know what release means. Yeah, they fucking killed her.
Yeah, I don't know. That story, the way they paced that story with the reveal that they were killing babies just completely out of nowhere. It felt rushed, it felt odd. I was like, why is it like this? And then on top of that, the relationship between Jonas and the other two characters who like were supposedly like his best friends from childhood. All right. So, for starters, the movie does not show me why I should care about either of these two characters at all. They didn't bother to give either one of them a unique personality trait, which is what I was talking about
Which is
earlier about the characters all
weird.
feeling the same.
Hold on a second. Which is weird because now I think about it, yeah, they totally just gave them unique personalities in the book. Hell, in the first three chapters, like you feel like you already know who Asher is.
Yeah, I just watched the movie yesterday. I couldn't tell you who Asher is. I know he's like kind of a dick in the movie, but that's about it. It feels like both him and Jonas were dicks,
Oh yeah.
and Asher had a completely unjustified redemption at the end. So there was that.
So I want to finish like everything that you don't like about the movie, so I can go into my long list of the notes I've taken.
So I guess you want me to get into the romance, which is garbage in this movie.
So bad.
Yeah. Okay. So they this movie just is showcasing like this romance between Jonas and this other character named Fiona, who, as I've mentioned, they didn't bother to give a personality to her, and it feels like she literally just serves as the love interest for the protagonist, and that's her only role in the movie or in the world for that matter. It's garbage. I've seen it a billion times where the character's only there to be a love interest and doesn't have a personality or anything beyond that. Um,
Okay, to be fair, in the book she didn't have that much of a purpose either, but I feel like whatever the purpose she had in the book, being demoted to love interest is just still why how you disgust me.
I do have some serious questions though as to why you love this book so much. Because like, okay, I don't know how to phrase this, but a decent chunk of the theming in this movie, at least, what seemed to be about love and how important love is.
Okay, there is a quite a bit about love in this movie, in the book, sorry, but they never bring up romantic love. It's all about familiar love. The romantic love in this movie is completely made up for this movie. I'll be honest. Like, it's just like how there is familiar love between, like, family love between the giver and Jonas.
The way here,
And
Miss.
Jonas and Gabe.
Yeah, so I'm going to assume the word you meant here was familial and not familiar,
Familiar. Yeah,
but
sorry, I just can't say it.
yeah, I don't know. This didn't seem like a franchise that I could get myself into, even knowing that the movie is bad and that the book is probably better. Um, but
I
then,
mean, yeah, this scarred my eyes too.
like if I had to be honest with you, one of the things that probably killed young adult dystopian novels that I don't feel like a lot of people talk about is that we already
Hmm.
kind of live in a dystopia.
Ouch. I mean, yeah, that's true, but ouch.
I mean, we have companies that are basically murdering consumers by driving up the cost of the medication they sell to the point where people who need it can't afford it. So, I mean, I don't know if that's at least the United States uh, is really is just a dystopia. It's not in
Yeah.
it's not insane. It's not like insanely dystopia like, Hunger Games or The Giver or anything like that, but I don't know, it's like it's still pretty damn bad.
I mean, the best way to describe our world is it's dystopian, but it's not future.
Have you seen have you seen the subreddit uh a boring dystopia? That's what we're living right now.
God, we don't even live in a good plot. I hate it here.
Yeah, right? God.
Look, I don't even care if I'm not the main protagonist, but can I at least be a side background character watching like the main protagonist? That'd be cool. But no, there's no main protagonist, and there never will be.
Yeah, I don't know. Um, when did The Giver come out? The
I
book.
movie or okay, that's a very fucking good question. 1 second. So just because I'm on it, the movie came out in 2014, and the book originally published in 1993. Damn.
Okay. So it feels like Divergent took the whole aspect of like, oh, these specific personality traits and like made that the entire plot of their series. Whereas in this it's kind of a nearly irrelevant thing right at the beginning.
I mean, yeah, they never bring it up again.
I think we'll cover Divergent at some point. I was opposed to it for a long time, but I do think it's worth talking about just how much I hate the premise of it.
Hmm. Should I get into all of the my bullet points that I made?
Sure.
So we start at the beginning, and right at the beginning, we have like splash text that say like the world was in ruin, and then this happened. I want to come out front and say, what ruin? There was no ruin in the book. All we know is that things happened, and some people decided that snow wasn't worth keeping, and mountains weren't worth keeping. Um, free will wasn't worth keeping because war. The first scene in this movie that's not a fucking flashback is the family where like Jonas and his family were having dinner and talking about their feelings. As I come to learn, this is a very important scene that builds up a lot of the emotions, the themes of this book. Without it, well, you'll find out. Let's get into the two characters, Fiona and Asher. Fiona was supposed to be assigned to the old folks' home, tending to the old. Asher was supposed to be director of recreation because of how fun-loving spirit he was. They just took that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think they made Asher like a security type person.
yeah. Um, the ceremonies for the elders did not happen at the yearly ceremony. No, they just happened when convenient and then they got released. Which, death. Um, let's see. Lily in the book was an 8, and thus did not get a bicycle. The only accurate part about that was 9s do get bicycles, but Lily was not one.
And I would love to point out here at the moment, the movie does not explain what that means, but from what I understand, it's just a way of tracking age without actually tracking birthdays.
Oh, and you also get perks for it too. Like, oh yeah, and another weird thing about the book, yeah, apparently like girls before like during a certain age and before another certain age are required to have bows in their hair. And then they lose the bow after like 9.
Yes, sexism.
No, Avery, there is no sexism. Because everyone doesn't have a personality. Um oh yeah, so the job instructions were not in a fucking hologram. They were in packets, like physical paper. I only bring this up because Jonas's was like the smallest one. Everyone else got thick job instructions. That would be a very long e-manual just to go through. They changed the receiver of memories rules, and one of them was supposed to be in the book. You cannot you cannot be released. You cannot. I forgot what the word was. You cannot schedule to be released, and that is very good because that foreshadows what happened to Rosemary. Now, technically, there was no like there's no pictures in this book. I don't know what was after the edge of their community. I can tell you though, there was no mention of an edge. There was nothing about people falling down. There was people falling down in a river, but nothing about falling down. Oh, actually, there's something I want to take time to mention. They never mentioned, like, specifically mentioned in the movie, but there was an Easter egg that related to the book. In the ceremony about the new children, there was one that was named Salab, or whatever. That person was in the book, fell into the river, and everyone was mourning them at the beginning of the ceremony. They left that part out, but they kept the name.
Wow.
Oh, by the way, everyone in the community, they all have unique names. And when they die, the name gets reused. I probably should have mentioned that.
So they're
Oh, and the
also that implies that they are also controlling the amount of people who exist at any given time.
Correct. Yes, they are also doing that as well. Um, in the book, the annex. By the way, there was an annex beside the old folks' home. That's where the giver was, and they had an attendant. And every time when they began their training, the giver made sure that the intercom was set to off, so no one could hear them. So, they never went on a walk just plainly discussing what they're training. In fact, the giver made sure no one could hear them while they were discussing it.
Yeah, that walk seemed completely weird to me. It's like, isn't this stuff supposed to be secret? Why are you walking around and discussing it?
Oh, and another point, I guess it doesn't mean anything, but I'm still going to discuss it. In the book, Jonas was lying down on a bed without a shirt, and the giver just touched his back to transmit memories. Don't ask why. I lost the. I have no reason for this. Oh, and the
Okay.
fact that Gabe. Also, they mentioned that Gabe would be the next receiver of memories. No, he wouldn't. Just flat out, no, he wouldn't. When Jonas was still learning about colors, he could not keep the colors. They would just flash in and out. The giver said it would take him several years to master, though how Jonas just kept the colors because he's better than the original giver. Jonas never shared the memories besides to anyone. Never even tried, not even thought about it. Actually, he could have thought about it. Except to Gabe. And I think he actually did that like the first time by accident. No one. And you see a lot of people trying to ask Jonas about his training. However, no one in the book even asked about his training because of this. This quote says it all. She expected him to describe his first day of training, but to ask would have fallen under category of rudeness. To explain that, basically to have one talks about themselves is bragging, would consider be bragging, and that would be considered rudeness. So you don't, in this community, you don't really talk about yourself much.
Uh-huh. So it's rude to ask people to talk about themselves, but I don't get
It's it's
that.
comp. It's a very it's a complicated rule. I'm gonna say that. And Jonas even says in the book, like, I think it follows under a um. Actually, don't. God damn, I forgot the word. Just it's a weird subject.
No, I mean, in my mind, if you're just talking about yourself and your accomplishments completely unprovoked, yeah, that's bragging. But if someone actually asks you, outright asks, there's nothing rude about that. Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Anyway, but Jonas did break the rules, but he always did the necessary steps to chastisement and just do what was necessary in the community. He did not just do what the hell he wanted because movie.
Was that whole triangle thing with like the waterfall and like being able to get out of surveillance even though they were still being surveyed? Um, was that in the book?
No, not at all.
I do want to know how on earth then they were still being surveyed because where the fuck is camera?
Do not ask. In fact, I don't even think there was many, like, no one was actually concerned about being surveillanced until until the end of the book. Oh yeah, Jonas did not even know about hearing beyond until the end of the book. And the giver never showed him memories about it. In fact, I think they just left out the fact that when the giver transmits memories, he himself forgets them. By the end of the book, the giver was stopped, like, could not, like, his color was fading. And it was
Okay,
almost to the point where he can't see color.
yeah, they definitely did not convey that at all in the movie. Um, in fact, I'm pretty sure the movie directly contradicts that a number of times.
And the reason why the giver did not give Jonas the memories about music was because he was being selfish and wanted to hold them on for himself a little bit longer. Matter about the chief elder, she had no role in the movie. She
You
was
mean in the book?
literally. Oh, yeah, sorry. She had no role in the book. She was at the yearly ceremony, announcing, everyone's jobs and everything like that, and that's it.
So hang on, hang on. Is the scene of Rosemary playing the piano in the book?
No.
Damn, because that would have had some very interesting implications in that she watched the movements and like understood how to replicate them, but didn't actually understand like the music, or that what she
Hmm.
was doing was creating music. That, I don't know, that would have been a really interesting scene had it been in the book.
Yeah, I mean, everything about Rosemary is all about. Because she's dead in this book. And it's just about the giver talking about the memories of her that he once had.
Is she his daughter in the book?
Yes? It was one line. Like
It,
around the
it,
very end.
it was one line in the movie too, so
Yeah.
well, okay, it was maybe a couple of lines because he talks about loving her, and then like they do that whole annoying precision of language, please.
No, in the book it was more like he talked about like her as if she was her own daughter, but never revealed that it was her daughter. I'm still
Um,
not certain if it was just she is like I'm still not certain if it actually was her daughter or not, but
Wait, okay, so
that
you're
line
using
was
her a
said.
lot. Um, is the giver in the books female?
No. Sorry, I mean like I don't know if you know how much I mix up words. I don't know if Rosemary in the book is his daughter for real
Okay.
or he just or that line was just to convey that um that's how he felt. There we go. So, remember the time where the giver gave Jonas war?
Mm-hmm.
There was no setup for that. Because in the book, there it was described that sometimes when Jonas wanted the annex, the giver would just because the giver would feel pain from the memories and would shoo him off. That day, however, the giver Jonas wanted to help him, so the giver gave him the memory to ease some of the pain. It was not done by mistake. And though there was the part of where the giver did say that he was like sorry for having to do that.
I mean, see, that was one of the moments I'm talking about where it feels like the movie it completely deviated away from that whole thing of like the giver losing the memories because he clearly knew what he just gave to Jonas.
that's another thing. So, like, um, obviously he knew what he gave to Jonas because, oh, it's hard to explain. The memories fade, but he still knows what it is. You know what I mean? Like,
Not
when he
really.
gave, Jonas snow, he in fact said, "The memory faded from me. However, I have so much more of it." He has more memories of snow. So in that scene, he just has more memories of war, so he still knows what war is.
Still, though, I don't know. Just
Anyway,
we.
they just left out my favorite part of the book. So when um oh, actually, wait, now I remember what in all caps of "there's no step to anything" is. I finally remember what that bullet point was. In the book, right before Jonas learned about what release was, and the family unit was talking about release, and in fact how his father had to release one of the twins because guess what? If there's twins, one of them has to die. Can't have two of them.
Yeah, can't have two of
And
the same person.
then Jonas would go to the giver and ask him about release, what release meant. Though he wouldn't entirely know because until he saw release with his own eyes. And after that, Jonas fucking loses it in the book. Like, he was sobbing, breaking down, and the giver was like, no one must hear you cry. Jonas' immediate response was, no one heard the baby cry. Like, he fucking lost it. And I feel like that's like my favorite moment of a nice character, because Jonas is a nice character in the book, just going mental. So, after that moment of my favorite part in the book, the giver and Jonas came up with an escape plan. Then he knew about Gabe's release and decided to fuck the escape plan. And then just went on by himself. Asher did not stop him. On another note, why was Asher out late at night anyways?
That was another thing. I mean, I kind of, in my brain, was like rationalizing, okay, he's part of the security, whatever, so kind of makes sense. But yeah,
But he was a drone pilot.
I don't know. Like I
That,
said, it still didn't make much sense.
yeah, I'm just like, what really should have happened is, why are you out late at night? Why are you late at night? Also, the fact that the book actually even had um, a plan to if Jonas was stopped by someone. And I do get it that this was before anyone knew about, like, this is before the giver came up with a plan. But Jonas could literally just say, like, oh, I'm running an errand for the giver. Because Jonas, being the receiver of memories, has a high amount of respect and in this community. He is highly respected. Asher punching, like, just going after him, might have been a crime. I'm not sure. Because Jonas, the plan was that Jonas would go back to the giver, on the day of the ceremony, receive the memories of confidence, and then escape. That never happened, so Jonas never got the memories of confidence. There was no stupid love with Fiona. Jonas never had to go back to the nursery. Fiona wouldn't even been at the nursery to begin with. Also, the fact that Fiona shouldn't be working night shifts anyway, because night shifts are supposed to be people that are unfit for marriage. That's said in the book, not me. And like, they're just more unruly people. Um, no, Gabe was already at the family unit's house, so he just picked up his dad's bike, picked up Gabe, went off. Um, there were drones, not controlled by Asher. They never spotted Jonas because he was kept hidden. And the only part of that ending that was remotely accurate is that Jonas found snow, found a sled, and found a house. That's it.
So there wasn't a whole thing of like bringing back everyone's memories, or was that
No,
actually
no,
a
that
thing?
that was the plan. No, that was the plan. But no one actually. Um, the moment Jonas went outside the community lines, everyone would have gone back their memories, which that was also explained, kind of. In fact, it kind of got a bullshit explanation, but more of an explanation that they got in the movie. Apparently, some time ago, there was something that was made that everyone had universal memories. But now the receiver of memories just keeps all of them locked in their brain.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, and I should also mention anything that was not like um any part of the movie that does not directly have Jonas in it was not in the movie.
You mean in the book?
So the yeah, sorry, in the book. I'm sorry, my brain is just all scrambled right now. So the parts where Jonas like when Jonas was leaving and it cuts to the capital like kidnapping people didn't happen. And unlike the Hunger Games book, I am not convinced that would even happen in the movie. Sorry, in the book. Because the ceremony was supposed to happen. Now, maybe it could have happened, a few days after, because the escape did take a few days, not just one. But I don't know. I don't think any of that could have happened in the book that we just didn't see. Oh god, that was a lot of time of me ranting.
Yeah. So are we done here with that?
Yeah, I mean we're already at just my last bullet point, just the ending. They just fucked with the ending.
Okay, so you want to get into the critic ratings?
Oh yeah, sure. Ugh. Oh yeah, do we ever look up if the Cap is the same actor as President Snow?
Well, it wouldn't be President Snow, it would be President Coin. But I did
Oh,
want to
President
know if the
Coin.
if the chief elder or grand elder or whatever the fuck she's called, was the same actress as President Coin.
Yeah, I never looked it up. So IMDb gives it a 6.4 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 35%. Uh, and 70% of Google users like this movie. I am losing my voice.
Okay, so can you check before we each give our own ratings? Can you check the actress that or actresses if it isn't the same actress? Um, find out if they're
Yeah,
the same person.
I actually don't know the name of that other person. I'm just gonna look up Hunger Games. President
Coin.
Coin actor. Yeah, no. I'm looking it up as I'm saying it. So, Julie Ann Moore. I'm probably saying that wrong. Now let's look at their IMDb page.
I mean, I don't know if I would trust their IMDb page because we've had issues with IMDb pages being wrong before.
That's true. Hmm. Yeah, it does not say that. At least this does not say that they've ever been in The Giver. Giver. Oh, what was she called again?
I think Chief Elder or something like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Actor. And that was Muriel Streep.
I want to say that's Meryl Streep or something like that. I
Oh,
don't.
Meryl Streep. Yeah, that's. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Um. Okay, so it's not the same person. They do look kind of similar though. But with all that being said, I'm giving this movie a 4.6. Like it's badly put together and then on top of that it's a bad adaptation, so I feel like that's where it goes.
You know, I was thinking about what about this movie, what about the book I liked? And whatever it was not in the it was just not in the movie. It just wasn't. And the fact I think it's just I feel like the movie just spat in my face and said, "Nah, this book just wasn't interesting enough for movies. Let me fix it up." So, in that regard, I'm going to give it a little bit lower. So, get your 3.0 and get out of here.
Okay. So, as was said earlier, you can join us next week for our free film day for September, as well as Ant-Man and the Wasp. I completely forgot to mention earlier, even though I wrote it down, that we had to spin the wheel prior to recording, and the wheel landed on Fantasia. So you can join us the week after, uh, those two things that I just mentioned for Fantasia. I still don't know what the fuck we're gonna say about it, but yeah.
Magic. I love magic.
All right. But with all that being said, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and we will be seeing you.